Welcome to English Insights, your trusted channel for mastering English with confidence. In today's video, we'll explore everything you need to know to ace the IELTS speaking test, specifically the hometown topic. From understanding the test structure and scoring criteria to learning vocabulary and sentence structures for describing cities and rural areas, we've got you covered. Let's get started and boost your IELTS score together.
All right, so if you're listening right now, I bet you're probably thinking about taking the IELTS.
Yeah, maybe thinking about it or already studying hard for it.
It's a pretty big deal if you want to study abroad or even move to a new country.
Huge, yeah, for a ton of opportunities all around the world.
And you know what's really interesting?
What's that?
We were looking around online and found this awesome Vietnamese website all about IELTS prep.
Wow, Vietnamese.
Yeah, but don't worry, we're going to break down all the good stuff in English for
I was going to say, my Vietnamese is a little rusty.
Mine too. But the cool thing is, even though it's in Vietnamese, a lot of the tips and strategies are universal.
Yeah, for sure. No matter where you're from, you're going to face similar challenges with the IELTS.
Okay, so let's dive into some of these golden nuggets they shared.
Sounds good.
First things first, they talked about the different types of IELTS exams.
Right, because it's not just one size fits all.
Exactly. I knew about the academic and general training ones.
Those are the most common ones, yeah.
But they also mentioned UKV and something called one skill retake.
Oh, yeah. One skill retake, that's a lifesaver.
Right. Like imagine you ace 3 sections, but then completely bomb the 4th one.
Ah, that's the worst feeling.
With this one skill retake, you can actually just redo that one section.
Exactly. Saves you from having to go through the whole thing again.
Okay, so that was news to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty new option, I think.
Now let's talk about the speaking section.
Oh, yeah, the speaking test.
I remember being so nervous during mine.
I think everyone gets nervous for that one.
They called it the 4 pillars of IELTS speaking.
4 pillars. That's a good way to think about it.
So basically, there are 4 things they're really looking for.
Makes sense. Break it down into manageable chunks.
Exactly. So we've got fluency and coherence.
Oh, okay. Fluency and coherence.
Then lexical resource.
Lexical resource, fancy.
Then we got grammatical range and accuracy.
Grammar, of course.
And lastly, pronunciation.
Can't forget about pronunciation.
So it's not just about speaking perfect English, it's about hitting all these different areas.
Right, you need to be well-rounded in your skills.
Let's start with fluency and coherence. What did they say about those?
Well, they said fluency is all about speaking smoothly without too many pauses or repetitions.
Makes sense. You don't want to sound like a broken record.
Exactly, and you also don't want to be umming and ahing every other word.
Right, it's got to flow naturally.
But then there's coherence, which is like the other side of the coin.
So what's coherence all about?
Coherence is about connecting your ideas logically so your speech is easy to follow.
Ah, so it's not just about speaking quickly, it's about making sense.
Exactly. You could be fluent, but if your ideas are all over the place, it's not going to go well.
Got it. So fluency is the how and coherence is the what?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so what about lexical resource? What's that all about?
Lexical resource basically means your vocabulary.
Ah, so the words you use.
Right, and they warned against just directly translating from your native language.
Oh yeah, that could sound pretty weird.
Yeah, it can lead to some unnatural phrasing, and that's not what the examiners are looking for.
So instead of just using basic words, we got to try and spice things up a bit.
Yeah, show off your vocabulary range. Use some synonyms, some descriptive language.
Okay, I can try that.
And then there's grammar, of course.
Oh yeah, the dreaded grammar.
Well, they emphasized using a variety of sentence structures to show off your grammar skills.
So not just simple sentences all the time.
Exactly. Mix it up with some compound and complex sentences.
But I guess it's not about using the most complicated grammar possible.
Right. It's about being accurate and appropriate. Don't try to force it.
And then lastly, we have pronunciation.
Ah, yes, pronunciation.
I feel like that's something a lot of people underestimate.
For sure, but it's super important.
It's not just about saying words correctly. It's about the rhythm and intonation.
Yeah, like the music of the language.
You can say all the right words, but if you sound robotic, it's not going to be good.
That's so true.
So got to pay attention to those subtle details.
Definitely.
All right, so we've covered the 4 pillars.
The foundation of good speaking.
But the website also had some really interesting tips on a specific topic.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Your hometown.
Ah, the dreaded hometown question.
It seems like they always ask about it.
It's a classic.
And they had some great advice for both part 1 and part 2 of the speaking test.
Okay, let's hear it.
So for part 1, where they asked those quick-fire questions, they said to keep your answers short and sweet.
Makes sense you don't have a lot of time to elaborate in part 1.
Exactly. So for a question like, where are you from? You just say something like, I'm from your hometown.
Perfect, straight to the point.
And then for follow-up questions like, what's it like living there?
Yeah, you can give a brief overview, but don't go into too much detail.
Save the good stuff for part 2, right?
Exactly. Part 2 is where you really get to shine.
Okay, so tell me more about their advice for part 2.
Well, they had this awesome outline for the describe your hometown task.
An outline that's super helpful.
Yeah, it covers everything from location and landmarks to personal stories and opinions.
Wow, so it's like a roadmap for your answer.
Exactly. You can just plug in your own details and you're good to go.
Okay, I'm sold. We got to dive into this outline in the next segment.
Let's do it. Okay, so you're ready to tackle this hometown outline.
Hit me with it.
All right, so they start off by saying you got to set the scene. Like, where exactly is your hometown?
Right. Give the examiners some context.
Yeah, is it by the ocean, smack dab in the middle of a bustling city?
Or maybe like a sleepy little village out in the countryside.
Exactly. Paint that picture with your words.
And then we can move on to talking about landmarks and attractions.
Yeah, like instead of just saying my hometown has a big park, try something more descriptive.
Okay, give me an example.
You could say something like, my hometown boasts a sprawling urban oasis, a verdant sanctuary amidst the concrete jungle.
Ooh, I like that. Way more evocative.
Right. It's all about using powerful vocabulary to impress those examiners.
And I bet they had some good vocab suggestions.
Oh, yeah. They had whole lists for describing different types of places, cities, rural areas, you name it.
Okay, so we've got the location, the landmarks. What's next?
Well, then they suggest talking about how your hometown has changed over time.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, has it grown a lot or maybe gone through some tough times?
Exactly. And this is where you can show off your grammar skills by using different tenses.
Right. Talking about the past, the present, maybe even the future.
And you can tie it back to your own experiences, too.
Like how these changes have affected you personally.
Yeah, make it more relatable.
Okay, so after the historical stuff, what's next?
Tourist attractions. What should people see and do in your hometown?
Oh, this is my favorite part. I'd be like, okay, you got to check out this hidden gem cafe and this amazing street art alley.
Aha! Exactly. Show off your local expertise.
And then I guess you'd wrap it up with your overall opinion of your hometown.
Yeah, that's the last part of the outline. Do you love it, hate it, somewhere in between?
And why, like, what are the good and bad things about living there?
This is where you can get a little more analytical and show off your critical thinking skills.
I like it. It's not just about describing. It's about expressing your own thoughts and feelings.
Right. It adds another layer to your answer.
Okay, so we've talked about the outline, but what about the vocabulary?
They had a whole section on that, too.
Awesome. I'm all about expanding my word bank.
What I thought was really cool was that they organized the vocabulary by theme.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, so they had lists for describing cities, rural areas, transportation.
So instead of just memorizing random words, you're learning vocabulary that's actually relevant to the test.
Exactly. It makes it way easier to remember and use.
Okay, give me some examples. What kind of words do they have?
Well, for cities, they had words like urban sprawl and concrete jungle.
Concrete jungle. I love that one. It's so evocative.
And for rural areas, they had rolling hills and tranquil countryside.
Oh, those are nice. They sound so peaceful.
Right. And for transportation, they had public transportation network and traffic congestion.
Those are definitely useful. I can see myself using those.
And then on top of all that, they had some bonus tips on sentence structures.
Sentence structures, now we're talking.
Yeah, these are like little tricks to make your speaking sound more sophisticated and natural.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
Okay, so remember how we were talking about describing your hometown?
Yeah, like saying it's nestled amidst a majestic mountain range instead of just near the mountains.
Exactly, using those more vivid phrases.
It's like leveling up your language.
Right. And they had some other good ones too, like be renowned for or be characterized by.
Okay, give me an example.
So instead of saying, my city has great nightlife, you could say, my hometown is renowned for its vibrant nightlife.
Ooh, I like that. It sounds so much more official.
And it shows you have a wider range of vocabulary.
Exactly what the examiners want to see.
And then they talked about connecting words and phrases.
Those are important.
Super important. They help you link your ideas together smoothly.
Like using words like moreover or however.
Yeah, exactly. Those kinds of words.
Like you're guiding the listener through your thoughts.
Right. You don't want them to get lost.
So it's all about creating a clear and logical flow.
And of course, you got to mix up your sentence structures.
Simple, compound, complex, the whole shebang.
Exactly. Keep it interesting.
So it's not just about grammar, it's about how you use it.
Right. Using the right structure at the right time.
And the cool thing is, all these tips aren't just for the IELTS.
True. They can help you with your everyday English, too.
Exactly. It's all about becoming a better communicator.
Which is a valuable skill no matter what you're doing.
Speaking of the IELTS, did they mention any other resources?
Oh, yeah. They said to check out the IDP IELTS website.
That's a good one. It's got tons of practice materials.
Practice tests, sample answers, all that good stuff.
Definitely worth checking out.
And I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that the speaking test is not about being perfect.
Right. It's not about sounding like a robot.
It's about communicating your ideas clearly and confidently.
And showing off your personality a little bit.
Yeah, let the examiners see who you are.
So to all our listeners out there, getting ready for the IELTS.
Remember all these tips and tricks.
Practice, practice, practice.
And believe in yourself.
You got this.
And don't forget about those vocabulary lists and sentence structures.
They're your secret weapons.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks for watching English Insights. We hope these tips help you feel more confident tackling the hometown topic in your IELTS speaking test. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more expert guidance on IELTS and English learning. See you in the next video. Keep practicing and stay motivated.